I would love to ask you about phone-free schools. I know you wrote your book well before this was even on the table, right? But I think one reason the phone-free schools movement took this long is parent pushback. So, what's your take on this in particular, and why are phone-free schools important for preparing kids for success?
Yeah. So the book we're talking about is How to Raise an Adult. This is my
Yes.
first book. It came out 10 years ago. I was writing about the topic of overparenting before the smartphone, before the iPhone was invented and came out in 2007. I'd already written a piece 2 years before that on the harm of overparenting and it leading to these reductions in skills and fomenting mental health problems. But certainly, as we've said, technology, cell phones, the ability to be tethered has exacerbated these issues. I think parents are desperately afraid there might be a mass shooting because this is America
Yeah.
and school shootings happen. And that was not a part of Gen X childhood. And but now it's a fact of life. And so, of course, you want to be able to be in touch with your kid at all times. So it is a very fear driven model, which is, a disaster might happen. Therefore, my kid needs a phone.
Hmm.
And what's happening is it's making it impossible for, a teacher to develop a relationship with a set of students over a period of time in a classroom. Like attention spans are so short with those constant hits of dopamine from the phones, from the alerts. It's hard for them to focus in class. Um, they can get access to all kinds of information, you know, social media, news, while they're at school. It just completely takes what we're trying to achieve through schooling, which is to grow minds around various subjects, that we think are important. And it basically throws that out the window. So I do support the idea of no phones in schools. I think when I talk to educators in that context, they are so relieved. It's like, school has been returned to the teachers and the students again. Parents constantly showing up in their kids' text messages during school. How did your test go? Signals like, I care so much about your test. I need to know, buddy.
Yeah.
Talk about anxiety producing. Like, my parents are watching every grade I get. They're already on the online grading system. Now they're asking me, or they're saying, your teacher says you didn't turn in your homework. Which, like, stop. It is not helpful to a child to hear from their parent constantly during the day when they're supposed to be at school. So
Yeah.
this gets back to ourselves. Like, what are we so lacking that
Yeah.
our entire lives are composed of, like, I'm constantly checking up on my kids every moment, every movement, every grade, every score, and and having to, like, run the ticker tape and make sure, like, I'm still successful because, I'm in charge of what's happening to my kid moment by moment. It's nuts.